Hello, everyone. A very good evening to you all. Thanks so much for joining us for this grad school success strategies, which is about making the best of your grad school experience. This is something that I really like in terms of the topic, and I feel very happy because this is our penultimate, in fact, this is kind of like the last topic before people go into grad school and they're able to like look at multiple aspects and so on. So, like, really talking about more on how to shape your journey towards grad school. You all know me by now. We've interacted a lot. So thanks so much for choosing us. And I'm going to give you like a quick outline on what to expect. Um, what does success in grad school mean? It can actually be different for different people. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Then we want you to establish your support system. And there are going to be a few tips for it. It's extremely important. And one of the main reasons you all are going abroad is to explore opportunities in multiple areas of your life. You would want to see how life outside campus happens, and definitely about the financial planning as well, which is, if not the most important, I would say like it can be the most concerning if you're not doing it. So definitely we also have a Q&A if you want, and accordingly we get started over here. All right, so with that, uh, where are you going to join grad school? So I know that many of you are across the globe in different places. You have Germany, you have North America, Canada, etc. So the first thing is get your pre-departure checklist done. I know that a lot of you have approached us for visa, some questions regarding your documents, questions about accommodation, etc. Make sure that these things are all done. See, for any of these things, your school would also have helped you by like introducing you to people who are already admitted. So they are going to be a huge source of information, as well as there are opportunities for you to collaborate with them and even like probably find roommates and everything else. So you want to really use that network a lot because they're also undergoing the same thing. And of course, this is one of the support systems, like a huge support system that you'll be getting when you're approaching grad school. So I hope that you have already started working towards getting the items on your pre-departure checklist ticked off. So coming to the main thing, I want you to tell a few things which are absolutely something. In fact, I'll say this is like 10 things I wish I knew before I went to grad school. You have to remember that it's not the same as your high school, meaning that where you had a certain syllabus and you have to mug up and then spit it out, or you had like so much of tutoring and everything else. It is also not college where things are a little bit more lax. And especially in India, you would have a lot of theory and more than practical exposure. And it's not like that. So the grad school is going to be something where you will be at your own pace, and it's important for you to have different priorities for yourself. All right. Because that you're going to do something at your own pace, you cannot, like, see, in college, most of the times we copy what our peers are doing and so on. In grad school, you cannot afford to do it because it's very individual, it's very tailored, it's a personalized curriculum, everything is different there. So you have to set priorities for yourself in terms of what you want from grad school. And I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do that. Diligence is key, meaning that you cannot afford to think that you will study later and things like that. It is something that you have to prep for the class before you go to the class, and you have to obviously work on assignments after the class. So there are a lot of requirements for you to be successful in the academic aspects. So that's where I would say diligence is very key. And of course, you want to build your network. That's probably one of the reasons why you're going to graduate school. So initially, much of the interactions will be around people from your own department and other things, and you would want to make use of that help. So for example, I used to study with a lot of my friends. They came from Taiwan. One time people came from Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, and so on. So it is about how you build your network and who are the people with whom you're interacting a lot. You will have to use the resource of your advisor well. There is another aspect which is different in grad school, is that your advisors would be more willing to help you with any kind of doubts you might have. They have something called as office hours. and they will have any number of like doubt clearing sessions and everything else and so on. And please know that, this is probably for some of you the first step to independence, especially those of you who are coming from college and directly going to grad school. This might be the first time that you're actually adulting, I would say, or like trying to live on your own. So there are many other aspects that you might want to consider if you have to be successful. All right. So I really wish that someone had told me that it's going to take me like I have to pencil in time for for laundry and buying groceries and even cooking and all that, because that's something that you learn like as soon as you go. But I'm going to tell you something. The moment that you hit or land wherever you go, be it Arizona, be it any of the San Diego or any of the places, the key thing you want to understand is you have to understand the curriculum. What is a core? What is elective? What's a specialization? What's a structure? So this is the first thing that you have to do. Every time you would have advisors, there are going to be international student service advisors, there will be like department advisors, there will be faculty advisors. Okay, so for example, the program that I went to, the first time that I landed, I think the second or third day, I met with this wonderful person. Her name was Hinia, and we're still in touch after like literally almost 20 years. So Hinia Kamal was her name. So she was the one who helped me plan which courses I should be taking, etc., as per the requirement of completing the course. Then I sat with one of my faculty advisors in order to understand what will happen if I take one course versus another and so on. I also sat with my seniors and other students. I also talked to my peers before deciding which course. See, you have to understand one thing, that the courses will be like, some of the courses, the registration will be like really, really tough to get into. Therefore, there are some bidding happening in some other programs, like example, business school programs and so on. So you have to plan the academic part of it with an advisor, either who's given by the department or the faculty advisor, or sometimes even a peer advisor. So this has to be done in the first week. You have to understand how many courses are you going to take every semester, and what is it going to be and how it's going to look like. 100% your school is going to help you, but keep this in mind so that you know how to approach it. Then you should meet with professors, especially professors who are working in your area. You don't have to do it in the first week, but you can start the research right now, and you can do it in the first couple weeks. And you will obviously be like attending the sessions of a few professors who are teaching you. But I'm talking about some of the other professors who might be in the field. They typically have an open door policy, or they will tell you when they are okay to meet with you and so on. Utilize that. Build a network of your professors. The reason that I went to professors, why I got a research project in my first couple weeks itself, and that is what helped me sustain my masters for the remaining semesters. Okay, so I have to tell you that's a very important thing. You have to make friends from your own department, from other places, etc. It doesn't matter. You have to make friends because many of them will involve group projects, group work, and you also would want to have the support of a study group. All right. So take and tackle the academics first. All right. You are going to study. Studying is something taken very seriously, and this is something that you might want to take up. Okay. Now coming to the curriculum. So you already know what you want when you have done the research on the schools, and we gave you like the graduate school research worksheet, and we asked you like what are the curricular parameters that you like, what specialization you like, courses you like, etc. But now is the time where you literally flesh it out, and as I said, your advisor would help you. Now here's an example of what we call is a master's roadmap. What does advisor do? They help you plan it. So let me show this. So the moment you get advised, right, sorry, accepted, what happens is you have multiple plans for studying. So you can of course get like a coursework done, okay, and then you can like work on what we call as a thesis mode, and then of course graduate. All right. You can only come and study, only take coursework, no thesis. That's a possibility. Now, what you can do is you can take up, like, instead of a thesis, you can go and put an additional project in your portfolio, sorry, in your roadmap, and that will lead you to another path. Okay. So this is what we call as the mapping, or what we call as academic planning. How do you intend to add courses? What do you intend to do? Do you want a thesis? Do you not want a thesis? All of these things. Now, you don't have to do it alone, as I said. It is provided by every school, and they tell you how to do it. No, in fact, they give you like an academic planning worksheet that is mandatory for you to fill out. You will have the list of courses that you have taken and you're planning to take, etc. And then they'll give you like other advisors and other resources. You can print this, and this is what you'll take to the advisor and then do. So here is an example of an academic planning worksheet. So it's nothing but saying that, you know what, I'm going to go into 2025 or 2024, right, whichever it is. So 24 for you, and then this will be 2025, and then spring 2025, summer 2025, and then fall 2025. So this is what it will look like for you guys. So you will write down, I'm going to take control systems. I'm going to take vehicle dynamics. I'm going to take like, theory of machine elements, etc. Okay, so that is what you will write. You will write the course and you'll write like how many units it is, okay, and so on. So your academic advisor will definitely help you. But this is an example of what the plan looks like, what the roadmap looks like. Okay, and this is so critical because honestly, if you're going to change something, you have to do it with the permission of the person, because every degree will have what they call are some mandatory courses that you have to complete within a certain time period. Okay, so for example, some courses will be offered only in the fall. That means that if you don't do the course in the fall, then you have to wait for almost a year to do the other course. All right. Some of the courses will be dependent on some other course. So for example, I had to take like a 541 before I could take a 542. All right. So like that, they will have many requirements in multiple schools. All right. So this is something that you will do with your advisor, and please, like, that's exactly where you'll have like a department advisor and a program advisor, a college advisor, everybody takes this very seriously. Okay. And one of the things, adulting tip 101, I would say is, please, if you haven't done so already, start having a schedule. You should have a weekly schedule and a monthly schedule. You should have like a study schedule. And then you should track all the activities that you're doing so that you can stay productive. It's an absolutely critical thing. If you don't put it on the calendar, it's not going to happen. The good thing is that most of you will already have calendars based on your, when you log into your account, based on the courses that you're taking, you'll be already able to see that, on your portal and everything else. So the study calendar will be kind of like your schedule will be, timetable will be already available. But what I'm trying to say is, please factor in the studying, the group studying, the preparation for a class, the assignment time that will take, etc. All right. So example is, if you have a 3-hour class, you can easily expect to spend about 9 to 12 hours per week on it. That means that you will spend 3 hours on assignment, you will spend around 3 hours on revising on the portions, and then sometimes it can be like you have a lab in it, or some other experimental work, etc., and so on. So many of the times you are expected to spend a lot of time preparing for the class, then attend the class, then do the work after the class as well. So keep that in mind, and get your schedules and everything ready. Next comes the most important part of establishing your support system. It is important to have a strong support system. We now, of course, we know that you're going to a new country and etc. and all that. You might have somebody and so on. But what we mean is, look at your advisor. They are going to be one of the biggest resources for you. They will tell you everything you need to know about the academic plan, how to proceed, how to tackle. Suppose you get a low score, what to do, etc. etc. International student offices spend a lot of money and time trying to help international students. International students have a different requirement than domestic students. For example, international students will need to take in at least 9 credits or 12 credits, etc., depending on the college to college or grad school to grad school. So you really want to use that one, okay? And just a second. All right. So the international student offices will help you specifically for what you need to have. So for example, if you are going to go for something called as curricular practical training, you need their help. Okay. So, for example, a domestic student can just apply for an internship anytime, but international students can only do it after having 2 semesters and all that. That is where you have to really like work with them. They not only have the student support officers, but they also help you for other things, like how can you get a credit card, how to get familiar with the campuses, where can you find information, etc., etc. There are a lot of student forums that are available in grad school. Especially, for example, I was the president of Graduates Society of Women Engineers. And it was really fun. I got to meet with a lot of women engineers across the different departments. And it was a really nice, wonderful opportunity for me to learn about leadership, learn about communicating with different students, bring in different leaders and all that. Okay. You will also have forums. For example, I was part of Solar Car and all that. You can also have like other teams which are working on a specific project. So that is something you can try. Peer groups are absolutely crucial. What is the difference between a student forum and a peer group is that peer groups are typically from your own department. See, for example, in mechanical engineering, we would have all the people come together and that one. But then we also had a group where people would only discuss about, say, the humanoid robots and everything else and all. So you need to find out all these different types of group. Please, like figure out who are the relatives and friends and everybody else whom you can reach out if at all, unfortunately, or God forbid, something happens to you, right? You need people to take care of you when you're sick. One of the things that I realized as I was talking to somebody was that you cannot afford to be sick in a foreign country. All right. So there's no parents, there's no like your sibling or somebody else who's going to come and help you out. Right. So this is also something that you can consider and take it up. International Student Services. Yeah, I've given you an example. They help you with what they call as a check-in. They help you with all the pre-arrival information sessions, what to expect when you arrive, what is the orientation. Some of these international organizations, like the student service organizations, they also help to arrange for pickup and everything else in certain, universities. So you want to take account of this. There is an Indian Student Association everywhere. That is also something that you might want to take into account. Example, the Indian Graduate Students Scholars Association, etc., etc. So this is an example from Northwestern University. All right. And definitely the ISA. ISA is Indian Student Association, which is present in every like Indian community and all that. See, this would be the Indian association as per the university. This can be like people like who are associated with anybody who's an Indian community there. So you might want to really get acclimatized to all this, because initially when you land there, trust me, after some time, homesickness will hit you. And especially if you're going to a cold place, like example, Ann Arbor, there'll be something called as SAD, which is like seasonal depression kind of a thing. You might even be affected by it, because it is so gloomy and cloudy and very cold. So the climate, the thing, and everything else might get to you. That's exactly where the support system is super important. Managing your mental health is very important when you go to grad school. Now, I am for exploring all opportunities that grad school can offer because it's very exciting, isn't it? And you're going not just to study, but you're going to develop skills and obviously get like better at getting a better job and all that. That's where take advantage of all these activities. Example, mechanical engineering would put an activity every week, but you know where we would go because we got free pizza and all that. So it'll take care of dinner, no? So sometimes we used to do that. But there is a lot of tons of activities where you learn more things. University forums as an overall are also a good source. You will have something called as co-op resources with the grad school, meaning that this will be the industry connect. So they will tell you a lot more about what is happening. I still have a Google t-shirt that I got 16 years ago from one of the presentations, and I won it, because I answered something correctly. But that's what I'm telling. You'll get a lot of goodies and other things, but you'll also understand about the different companies and everything else. 100% of the time, there'll be tons of skill development resources. One of the things would be like example would be your TA, your teaching assistant, who can help you a lot as well, the kind of peers that you have. But specifically, the department will spend some money and also invest in this. Sometimes these two things can be together. Like for a big school like University of Michigan, we had tons of career guidance resources, one from the engineering school, one from the University of Michigan itself. Okay, in fact, it had its own academic writing center where you could go and like ask for help and all that. But we also had one specific center at the engineering writing center as well. And we also had something called as ECRC, which was the Engineering Career Resource Center as well. So you have to utilize all these opportunities. They all exist, but unless you make appointments and try to go and use a few of them, it's not going to work out. All right. So look at this. What I mean by forums and other possibilities is every school will pride in having certain elements. So Texas Austin is one of the very good examples of entrepreneurship and innovation. If you guys don't know, Austin is one of the fastest growing startup hubs. So they have a lot of industry collaboration and alums. A lot of UT alums are the ones who are having startups nearby. And Kendra Scott was one of the alums of Texas who runs a very prestigious jewelry brand, and her designs are iconic. So her example is her, Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute. She gave a lot of money, and then this came up. So this is an example. So if, for example, you are interested in entrepreneurship or like startup and everything else, you can utilize this. So this is what we mean by additional opportunities and other things that the forums offer. Similarly, when you look at it, you will find out a lot of programs that are needed that are there for the graduate students, a lot of groups that exist. Okay, so for example, you want to get into mobile app development, you can do that. You want to get into technology commercialization, you can do that. You want to take up something in social innovation, you can do that. All right, so that's what we mean as university forums and all that. Utilize all of these resources and you should be good to go. Now, the most, I would say, fun moments are outside campus, and campus life is exciting. I still remember my first year, and there was like a moment where we were really, really like, I had spent 48 hours working on a project. And after that, there is a place called Judastat Center. So there is a piano. So I met like a PhD student who was playing Coldplay. The fact that I can remember this after 20 years, right, shows how that is so important. And we also used to have like stress-free nights where people would give like small massages and all that. We had tons of pizza nights and parties and all that, right? So life after grad school can be very fun. But however, it's about how much fun you're picking up and also adjusting to the life as an international graduate student. So you want to understand the culture shock and how to deal with it. You want to navigate the language barriers that are available, because you don't want to assume certain things. People give a lot of weightage that you do your own work. Okay. And sometimes you might speak to your Indian friend in a certain way, and it might appear to be different when you're speaking to somebody who's a Chinese or from, say, Germany or something. All right. So, understanding the culture, understanding the differences that can arise because of language differences and barriers and all that. Coping with homesickness, very important, The reason for that is because, as I said, this will hit you only later. That's why we say stay connected. Don't kind of remain aloof. Stay connected. I know that you have a lot of new things to do, but stay connected with your parents and others so that you will have a sense of balance. And last but not the least, you want to utilize the different opportunities to create a community for yourself. I was really blessed to have a supportive Indian community and tons of fun. Every time I would be part of the library, and our public library was amazing. It had so many centers you could go and do. University of Michigan Library was amazing as well as was its campus. All right, I made full utilization of the athletics. I made full utilization of learning swimming for the first time in my life, and so on. I learned Spanish, and I learned the piano. So you can do a lot of things outside. I was a reviewer for art, and because of that, I had free passes to some of the best shows of the world, right? So you really want to utilize those options and see how to do it. See, check the blogs from the students and everybody else, and especially the Indian Student Association, because that will give you an idea of life outside campus. So, like, what do people do outside campus? See, here is like If you're especially in a place like New York City, right, you can just not get enough of it. Okay, how do people take break? Where do they go? I was recently in Washington Square Park. It was amazing, and so on. So you really want to read up on the school and understand a little bit more and plan your activities now itself. How fun is it? You guys get to do all of these things, right? So make the use of the summer winter breaks, and you can utilize it in order to understand better, and you can find the internship, and then exploring the attractions, engaging with the community, and a lot of other things. So this aspect, I would say, of this ability to network with other people and while enjoying a slice of life in the US or in the city there you are, is what is going to make your experience stand out. Definitely attend and utilize all the opportunities to build your professional network. As much as it's important to build the personal network, the professional network are also important. Okay, that can happen by the guest talks, by like joining professional organizations. Example, Grad was one. There is also like Society of Automotive Engineers. There's like IEEE chapters, many things, and then volunteering for the local causes and so on. So this is something that will give you a better option. So see, if you want to know more, read up on them because they tell you. Like, so this is an example of somebody from IUPUI who talks about how to make the most of summer and what all they did and where to go and so on. See, I have attended quite a number of performances and had food in various different places. And Austin is one of my favorite places all time, favorite cities. Really, really bustling with, see, definitely the Tex-Mex cuisine at Austin, as well as the rest of the things. Like example, you can find like authentic Indian and Korean and everything else over there. So you really want to make use of all of these opportunities, and definitely attend like South by Southwest if you're in Austin and so on. Okay. See, most of the times you will have discount for students. Like you will get free tickets and like a lot of student discounts in many of the Ann Arbor business areas and all that. You might want to utilize that, and you might want to keep your this one for it. But let's come back to the most important reason you're going. See, I have always told you about securing an assistantship. So you can become a teacher's assistant or teaching assistant, depending if you've already taken one of the courses and all. Okay, and that is by conducting some supplementary classes and also holding office hours and all that. Okay, see, I told you, right? Suppose you take a class for 3 credits, you're going to spend 9 hours. Now, where does the other 3 hours go? By working with the teaching assistant or going to the professor's office hours and all that. Okay, so you have to spend time studying. So the teaching assistant is a good role and it also pays money and it will help you to cover the tuition also. Research assistant is the best one that you want to take up. So this is like for helping the faculty complete a research project or your services for that. So this one is the most what we call as the holy grail, because here as a teaching assistant you will teach, then also you will do research for your professor. But here you will be able to just do the research and then get the money for it, right? And of course you can do like other roles like graduate student assistant. A lot of the domestic students will get like a different role. International students don't get too many different roles. Okay, international students, the main roles are research assistant and teaching assistant and a little bit about graduate assistant. Okay, but last but not the least, definitely internships will cover enough, like 2 to 3 months of expenses or even more, depending on how you are like spending it. Okay, so with that, I want to tell you the last, but I would say the most important, which is financial planning. You have to have a budget and you should stick to the budget, and you should always plan on any kind of other, uh, like I would say emergency expenses or something else and all that. Depending on where you're going, etc., put some enough money for living expenses. And you already know we have done this before. I'm showing you something that happens in McGill, for example. I can only tell you one thing. There are two things that are happening, or rather, I can tell you two things. The two things that are happening, especially in the financial world, is that there is something called a shrinkflation, meaning that, see, think about this. a burger used to be bigger, right? So for suppose I get a burger for $10, it used to be bigger before, but now it's much smaller. So the same amount of money can get lesser things right now. Okay, so it is about lesser quantities, but lesser things as well, right? The second thing is that inflation. So obviously you're not going to get the same, the 10 rupees doesn't mean the same thing that it meant before. So that means that it's also like much more there, especially with food prices and everything else. It's just gone up the roof everywhere else. When I was in Anabar, I would get a very decent meal within like $7, $8 itself. And that would be for like almost 1.5 times meal. Now, when I went to New York City, I had to pay around $50 to get like the same amount of stuff and all that. So, of course, New York City is much more expensive, agreed, but it is very hard to get very good food and everything else and all. So, you want to understand a lot of these things and know how your money is going to be spent and start planning for it. You have to get into the details. That's why, if you remember, we had the cost of attendance sheet before, right? So now is the time for you to probably go and check it out and then see which one matters. Okay, so coming to the next part of it, we have the cost of living. It can obviously change depending on different cities where you live. And of course, you knew this when you were getting into it. Just plan for it. Don't go over budget. I had a couple people who did it and really had like extremely difficult times in order to manage it. Okay. Last but not the least, like coming to almost end, you really want to be prudent about your rents as well. See, there's nothing wrong with sharing an apartment with somebody, especially for the first 1 or 2 semesters. And then, of course, after you got money and internships and everything else, you can find your own place. All right. So always think about like minimizing your rents and everything else. Okay. And realize one thing, the graduate school experience is just not about studying. It's about much more. It's about you learning to live as an adult for probably the first time for many of you, but live as an adult in a different country, and you're trying to figure out what matters to you, and also trying to get the best of the experience and managing your mental health, your physical health, even your spiritual values, and everything else that matters to you. So, if you want to get the best of grad school experience, make sure that you're doing all these things in the right way. And we have had a lot of successful admits this year as well. We are extremely proud of our clients and the performance. And with that, I really want to wish you all the very best. And thanks so much. And please stay connected with us, and wishing you all the very best and good luck in your endeavors ahead. Bye.